Hi, this is Morley and this is the M-Wire. In this video, we are going to look at how Senator Ted Cruz is going to subpoena Jack Dorsey and ask him point blank why the story of Hunter Biden was censored on Twitter. Thank you for coming to my video. Please subscribe if you haven't. It would greatly help out the channel. I'm sure we all agree that social media censorship is beyond out of control. Censorship is generally accepted in countries like China, and now apparently the left-leaning big tech and social media companies in America. The fact that Kayleigh McEnany, the press secretary to the President of the United States, is being held hostage by Twitter, they're essentially telling her to delete the story about Hunter Biden and will give you your account back, pretty much says it all. She posted an article from a well-known mainstream newspaper and immediately sent to Twitter jail. If they can do it to her, people, they can do it to anyone. Jack Dorsey has issued a statement denouncing what happened only because he pretty much had to, because the story is just, a little too hot to handle, if you get my drift. Ted Cruz is going to subpoena Jack Dorsey and ask him point blank what exactly happened with this. I know the Senate Judiciary Committee has called big tech up on many times on the carpet before, but this is arguably full-on election tampering. I have a feeling, though, that after Trump wins the election, which he's going to do in a big way, big tech crackdown is coming. It has to. Trump is calling for a review of Section 230, which big tech is under as a platform, which means they are exempt from any legal prosecution from anything its users may post. So if that's the case, why are people censoring people's content at Facebook unless they're under the auspices of someone else, if you get my meaning? If they were under Section 230 as a publisher, they would be legally liable for what people post. They would have to put everyone's post under a microscope to protect themselves legally. Not even the mighty Facebook has the resources to do that. It would appear that they want it both ways, though. Trump is beyond outraged at this, and understandably so. These big tech companies have way too much power and control, and are quite frankly suppressing people's rights under the First Amendment. People should be able to voice whatever opinion they wish as long as what they are saying isn't blatantly illegal, as such as having someone killed, which Twitter has allowed, by the way. If you believe that eating peanut butter sandwiches is a viable cure for cancer, you should be able to post that without some fact checker saying that's wrong. We all have brains and discernment and can do our own research, unless you're on the left, to decide what is or isn't true. These fact checkers are a great irony, in my opinion, as the left has proven over and over again that something doesn't have to be true, if you get my drift. Here's what Senator Ted Cruz had to say about all this.
In the last 2 days, we've seen a remarkable development. We have seen big tech, we've seen Twitter and Facebook actively interfering in this election in a way that has no precedent in the history of our country. Yesterday, the New York Post broke a story alleging serious corruption of Joe Biden and Hunter Biden concerning Ukraine. The allegations in the New York Post story, if true, indicate that Vice President Biden lied when he said he had never discussed his son's business dealings. That story, once the New York Post broke it, was blocked by Twitter and Facebook. Anyone who attempted to share it was prevented from sharing it on Twitter or Facebook. The New York Post itself, when it attempted to put out its story, was blocked on Twitter and Facebook. The New York Post has the fourth largest circulation of any newspaper in this country. Never before have we seen active censorship of a major press publication with serious allegations of corruption of one of the two candidates for president. That was last night. This morning, the story escalated and got even worse. The New York Post broke a second story of a series of emails that indicate yet more corruption, in this instance, the Biden family receiving millions of dollars from communist China government officials. Just minutes ago, I tried to share that story on Twitter. And Twitter is actively blocking, right now, this instant, stories from the New York Post alleging corruption and the Biden family receiving millions of dollars from communist China. This is election interference, and we are 19 days out from an election. It has no precedent in the history of democracy. The Senate Judiciary Committee wants to know what the hell is going on. Chairman Lindsey Graham and I have discussed this at length, and the committee today will be noticing a markup on Tuesday to issue a subpoena to Jack Dorsey, the CEO of Twitter, to testify before the Senate Judiciary Committee next Friday, to come before this committee and the American people and explain why Twitter is abusing their corporate power to silence the press and to cover up allegations of corruption. And let me be clear, I don't know if these New York Post stories are true or not. Those are questions Vice President Biden should answer. But Twitter and Facebook and big tech billionaires don't get to censor political speech and actively interfere in the election. That's what they're doing right now. And so on Tuesday, the Judiciary Committee, the full committee, will be voting on subpoenas to subpoena Jack Dorsey to come before our committee.
So that just goes to show how empty Jack Dorsey's statement was, because more came out on the Hunter Biden scandal today, and Ted Cruz tried to post it to no avail. Meaningless. Let's get into this. Enough censorship. It's time for the DOJ to seize Facebook and Twitter, arrest Zuckerberg and Dorsey over malicious blocking of bombshell New York Post article exposing the Biden crime family. With Facebook and Twitter now deliberately blocking any sharing of a bombshell New York Post article that exposed the Biden crime family as corrupt, treasonous liars, the time has come to call the DOJ to seize Facebook and Twitter and shut down their illegal operations, arrest their CEOs, Zuckerberg and Dorsey, and charge them with conspiracy to defraud the United States of America. These tech giants are deliberately engaged in election rigging, selectively blocking links to timely, well-researched investigative articles that reveal the crimes of the Biden family, all as a part of a coordinated big tech conspiracy to install a Democrat in the White House, no matter what the cost. This is the new mantra of the Democrats: lie, cheat, steal, commit fraud, censor, threaten, commit violence. Do anything it takes to win, because they are so filled with fabricated hatred towards President Trump, they cannot stand to live for another 4 years with him as America's duly elected president. And they certainly can't stand to see the truth come out about Hunter and Joe Biden, nor Hillary, Obama, Comey, or Brennan for that matter. As Breitbart.com explains, a smoking gun email obtained by the New York Post shows Joe Biden lied when he said he's never spoken to my son about his overseas business dealings. According to an email dated April 17, 2015, Biden, who was then the sitting vice president, met in person with Vadim Pozharsky, an advisor to the board in Burisma. Burisma is the sketchy Ukrainian energy company that put Hunter Biden on its board and paid him a reported $50,000 a month, even after Hunter has no known energy sector experience and doesn't speak any of the languages spoken in that country. Gee, I want to get a job like that. The date of the email is important. The meeting between Pozharsky and then Vice President would have taken place 8 months before Biden threatened to withhold U.S. aid from Ukraine unless the country agreed to fire a prosecutor who was looking into Burisma. The prosecutor was fired. In 2018, Biden bragged to the Council on Foreign Relations about how he got the prosecutor fired. I looked at them and said, I'm leaving in 6 hours. If the prosecutor is not fired, you're not getting the money. Well, son of a bitch, he got fired, and the investigation into Burisma was shut down. A coordinated conspiracy among the media and big tech to shut down the story and protect Biden crime family. So Zuckerberg and Dorsey are committing criminal fraud to rig the elections. They are maliciously blocking the New York Post article by falsely claiming the URL might contain malicious code or something unsafe. This is exactly the tactic that Google is using against Natural News several years ago, fabricating false claims of malicious code that using to censor the content they wanted to suppress. Meanwhile, the left-wing media is blacklisting the entire story, hoping people won't find out about it since big tech is also blocking the story. Twitter even censored White House Press Secretary Kayleigh McEnany today to try and shut down any knowledge of the story. Think about that. A radical left-wing tech company that caters to communist China is now blocking the White House and getting away with it. We are now living in a communist-style country or the former Soviet Union where the official lies are allowed to be accessed or shared. Any information that makes Democrats look bad is instantly blocked and smeared, and any person who attempts to tell the truth about the crimes of Democrats is banned or deplatformed. As House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy is now saying, that is flatly unacceptable in America. Censoring speech to silence political opponents is what you'd expect from countries like China, North Korea, or Iran, McCarthy wrote in a tweet, not American companies like Twitter and Facebook, against one of the nation's largest newspapers. Hashtag stop the bias. Senator Cruz and Hawley have chimed in accusing big tech of interfering with the election, and it's clear that big tech's attempt to cover up the story has now become the bigger story, causing even more publicity than the Joe Biden crime family activities and the techno tyrants that are trying to cover up in the first place. It's time to arrest the CEOs and seize the treasonous tech giants. Here at Natural News, we say enough of the treasonous censorship. This repeated abuse of power by the tech giants to selectively block all information that might hurt Biden and help Trump is obviously coordinated election interference. These actions are fraudulent and illegal, and they constitute the same kind of election manipulation that Robert Mueller charged so-called Russian companies with to carry out in 2016. Except in this case, it's a million times larger and far more dangerous to our constitutional republic. We cannot remain a free society if the public is not free to read, share, and debate important journalistic investigations into the corruption of public officials like Joe Biden. These investigative stories are essential to the very process of a representative form of government where voters must be informed in order to make educated voting decisions. But that's exactly the point. Facebook and Twitter don't want people to be informed. They want you to be kept in the dark, isolated from the truth about the Biden crime family so that you foolishly vote for a criminal to take over the White House and run the country with the same degree of lawlessness and corruption that Hillary Clinton brought in 2016 election. That's why this needs to be stated right now. Mark Zuckerberg and Jack Dorsey are enemies of America and treasonous criminal operators who are a clear and present danger to the very fabric of this nation. This must be stopped from continuing to damage our elections and must be criminally indicted, prosecuted, and punished for their crimes. America cannot continue to exist if people like Zuckerberg and Dorsey are allowed to exercise monopoly control over nearly all online speech. They need to be taken down by every lawful means available, including declaring these treasonous tech giants to be engaged in acts of sedition and insurrection against the United States of America. Charge them with treason. It's time for Trump to unleash the military police and seize these techno-fascist corporations and force them to stop the digital bit burning across America, because Zuckerberg and Dorsey are more dangerous to humanity than Stalin and Hitler. Big tech clearly has to be reined in. there's no difference between what they're doing and what George Orwell said in 1984. The thought police are here, but I want to know what you guys think. What should the government do about text censorship? Please comment down below. Thank you very much for coming along to my video. Please like, comment, and share and subscribe. It would greatly help out the channel. And God bless.